this is the gap. Like, this is the gap between successful companies and struggling companies. It's how do you turn the opportunities that you have into jobs, right? Into closed jobs. And there's a lot of challenges with that along the way. There's that sometimes there's not enough people to answer the phone. Sometimes there's a lot of other challenges that come through. So we're going to go through a lot of those things today. So while you're with us, if you could turn off your cell phone, turn off Facebook, spend this hour with us, or 45 minutes to an hour with us today. Really dialed in, asking questions. We do this in a workshop style. So, we're here for you to answer questions along the way, have participation, and have those conversations. So, for those of you that aren't familiar with me, my name is Jim Aline. I'm the co-founder of Roofer Marketers, now the general manager of marketing services at Job Nimbus, as we were recently acquired by Job Nimbus. Put a 1 in the chat if you're a Job Nimbus customer, if you use Job Nimbus as your CRM. I'm the co-author of 2 books, Internet Marketing for Roofing Contractors and The Best Known Roofer. I speak at a lot of industry events. We're an ICO Roof Pro partner. I'm the marketing coach in Adam Bensman's Pitch Pro movement. We're a certified Google partner, and I'm also the host of the Roofing Success podcast. And so throw an exclamation point in if you listen to the podcast, because you're my people. So what Roofer Marketers and Job Nimbus's marketing services, what we do, this is what we do every day, right? We do digital marketing for roofing contractors, helping them to get the best results out of their marketing efforts. And we do this focused around 3 core principles. So in those 3 core principles, the first one is to maximize the opportunity to generate a lead for your roofing business. I'm a big fan of a business philosopher named Jim Rohn. If anyone's familiar with him, if you're not, go YouTube him and listen to a bunch of stuff. He's since passed away. He's passed away some years ago. But one of my favorite things that he said, and that I took to heart over the years, was that to have consistent lead flow in your business, you need 5 to 7 lead sources, right? And that could change from company to company, from industry to industry. But that's a good general benchmark for what you're trying to do. And that's what our core principle around maximizing opportunities is. It's the old adage of having multiple poles in the water, right? Through the Job Nimbus survey that was done last year, I think it was like 80% of roofing companies or contractors rely on referrals as their number 1 lead source. Well, that's great. The way I like to add on to that is who refers you, right? And the people that refer you are people that you do good work for, right? That's a lot of times it's past customers. So when you rely on referrals, the conversation then can turn and your mindset can shift to, now, how do I get a new customer that I can serve on a high level, who will then become a raving fan and refer me throughout time, right? That's the core principle. So multiple poles in the water. Some months let's say your Facebook leads are performing really well, and you're crushing it there, and then the next month your Google business profile is getting a lot of calls, but over time, if you have those opportunities available to you, if you're optimizing those opportunities, you will create a more consistent lead flow. If you put all your eggs in one basket and say, hey, we're going for Facebook ads and that's it, you're relying on that, right? And so there's ups and downs. So we really stress that you maximize those opportunities. The second core principle that we're focused on is maximizing brand impressions. There's an old adage or an old thing, philosophy in advertising that came from the TV days. It's that the advertising rule of 7. And the study, there was a study done decades ago that said that a consumer needs to see your brand at least 7 times before it even connects with them, before they register it. And there's one of my favorite sayings is the most valuable real estate that you can own is mental real estate. So by owning mental real estate in the minds of the homeowners or property managers or everything like that in your area, that's where you are going to be able to find long-term success, right? That's not short-term, but that's where you really find long-term success. So our core principle is maximizing brand impressions. So getting the people in your market, the decision makers in your market to see your brand as many times as possible. And then, this is what the webinar is all about, is maximizing those conversion rates. And that's our third core principle, because no matter how many leads you generate, if you're not converting those into sold jobs, it makes no difference, right? There is absolutely no difference. And there are really, strategies that you can implement to do this. One of my, we've done a bunch of work with Chuck Toki from Top Rep, one of my favorite sales trainers in the business. He talks about, they had a strategy when he was the vice president of sales at Able Roof, Mr. Roof, for Home Advisor leads. And everyone hates Home Advisor leads. There's a bunch of shoppers, half of them you can't even get a hold of. But they had a team of people that worked those leads, a call center that worked those leads. And they had strategies in place. One of their strategies was to keep the person on the phone for 10 minutes. So if they got them on the phone, they would keep them on the phone as best they could for 10 minutes. The reason was that's when everyone else was calling, right? So if they kept them on the phone in that first 10 minutes while all the other contractors who were going to reach out are calling, they would miss those calls from those other contractors, right? There's so many ways to maximize conversions, but those are just the little, that's an example of a real unique one, right? Like a different thought process on that. Now, here's where I need some feedback from you, right? What are the biggest challenges? You could drop it in chat. You can unmute and say it if you want. What are the biggest challenges that you guys are facing in terms of your marketing, when it comes to your marketing?
What to put out there for people to that they'll pay attention.
What gets attention? Knowing what gets attention. That's a good one. Kevin says consistency, right? Consistency is a challenge. Naomi, not bombarding homeowners. That's a good point, but it's a strange one, right? There is a fine, there's a gray area in that conversation of bombarding homeowners, right? Like that's some people get a bad taste in their mouth if you're reaching out to them too often. Some people are grateful because they're just busy with their day, and you reaching out again and touching base, maybe you catch them at a good time, right? That one's a tough one, but it's a great one, Naomi. That's a good one to point out for sure. Another thing that I hear in the industry, right, while I'm out doing my talks and traveling the country and being in rooms with contractors and stuff, is a lot of people feel that they don't get enough leads, right? Drop a 1 in the chat if that's something that you've had challenges with. Always looking for new and not rehashing the old. Yeah, that's what Naomi said. So Yeah, number one, not enough leads, right? We have to understand our revenue goals, and we have to understand how to break down how many leads we need. And then we need a plan of action to get to those leads, right? Another thing that I hear is a low lead quality. How many of you buy leads or have purchased leads from, like we said, like Home Advisor and things like that, where it's, if you get a hold of them ever, it's something special. Like, and if you do get a hold of them, there's 5 other people, or maybe it's that you get those calls for someone looking to re-roof their dog house or their shed or something, right? Yeah, qualified leads is a big one, and I think that speaks to the low lead quality, getting to those qualified leads. Now there is a little bit of semantics, verbal, semantics to that is, lead, prospect, qualified sales lead is another way that I've heard people put it. Like, what is a qualified sales lead versus just a lead? If you do you could do a ad on Facebook that says, sign up now for a free roof. A lot of people are going to put their name and email address in that form, right? But are those qualified leads, right? Is that that may be a low quality. So sometimes you may have if you have the ability and a strategy in place, you may be able to sift through a lot of low quality leads quickly to get to the quality leads, but you have to have a process in place for that. And I think it was let's see, I think it who was it that mentioned it to Adam? I think you mentioned it about that, that what gets attention like that. That's also a thing that leads to low quality leads, is that the trust factor of your brand in the marketplace. So those are those brand impressions that we feel are very, very important to getting to that. Lead cost is too high, low ROI, right? This is another big challenge in the market that I always see. But it depends on how you're working the leads, right? If your sales reps are working the leads, like how many times are they actually calling them? And then what are they there's 2 metrics in lead quality or lead cost. One is customer acquisition cost. CAC, they call it. So that is a measurement of what is the cost per customer, right? What is your cost per customer? But that one gets there. That one's a good metric, but I think it gets over focused on sometimes. An even better metric to focus on in your business, or in addition to customer acquisition cost, is the long-term value of a customer. The clients that we have that do the best, the guys that I've had the contractors that I've had on my podcast that do the best, a lot of times they are the best at turning one into many. So the lead cost up front might be high, but they're very good at getting referrals, knocking the neighborhood. They're very good at turning that one job into many. And so that's a factor in that lead cost, is your ability to do that. Lack of clear tracking is a big one, right? I think a couple of you had put a 1 in the chat when I asked if you're a JobNimbus users. We have just integrated our systems together to get an even clearer ROI for you guys, from the time a lead comes in all the way through a job sold. And that's the most impact. I had a conversation with one of our clients last week. He's a new roofing company owner. He started his company this year, and he's struggling. It's his first year in business, right? He's struggling a little bit. And we had a conversation, and I said, well, hey, where are you at? How much revenue have you generated this year? Where are you at this year, gross profit, or, gross revenue wise? And he didn't have an answer, right? And so, making sure that you know your numbers, and a lot of times they're feelings. We feel like this didn't work out, or we feel like this isn't good. But until we have those real numbers in place, from the time a lead comes in to that time that job is closed, and the profitability on those jobs, that's where you get a really clear vision of your business and of the lead flow that's coming in and what's working best. Another thing that I hear from contractors is there's too many options. Do you guys feel that way? Like, man, I could do this, I could do that. And marketers are marketers. Marketers are good at marketing. So they're marketing to you their best impression of what will work for your business. I know how many phone calls you get from Home Advisor. I know how many Facebook messages you get on, for marketing services. Man, SEO is the way to go. You got to do SEO. No. SEO is just okay. Just do Google ads or Facebook ads, or just do things. So there's so many options out there, right? There are so many options out there that, lead flow to me isn't a problem, because you have a lot of opportunities to get the lead flow picked up in your business. You have your SEO, your Google ads, your local services ads. If you need to go buy leads, you can go to Home Advisor, Thumbtack, Porch, Networks, all those places. Your word of mouth, your door to door, there's always ways to increase lead flow in your business. Here's a kind of a chart of all of the different things that you could do, right? And so I like to talk about what I refer to as the marketing stack. You're not going to do everything at once, but what you want to do is stack these opportunities on top of each other. And as you start stacking these opportunities on top of each other and being consistent, someone mentioned it in the chat, being consistent, boy, that gets to that consistency in lead flow, right? And it gets you enough leads to get to your revenue goal. David said ability to pay for service is a challenge, right? So, that's another thing in your conversion rates, having financing, having the ability to present financing options to customers, big thing. Job signs are a big one, right? You have your social media, your Facebook, TikTok even, right? Like there's all these opportunities for you to do that. So the biggest challenge that I see is unconverted leads, right? The ability to generate leads is there, right? The ability to generate leads is there. You guys, I know it's hard sometimes to commit the time, to commit to make the financial commitment to get to some of those sources, but the opportunities are available to increase that lead flow in time. So now we need to work on getting those unconverted leads converted to increase that, to maximize that conversion rate and increase the profitability that you have in your business. All right. So here's the big problem. 50 to 60% of inbound calls they leave are unconverted, right? So when people call into your business, I want to ask you, put a 1 in the chat if you set an appointment on the initial phone call, if that is a mandatory process in your business. 1 in the chat if you set the appointment gets set on initial phone call. David, Janice, awesome. Naomi. For the rest of you, I hear this a lot. Our team listens to every phone call that comes through our clients' businesses. And boy, you guys leave money on the table when you don't set the appointment on the initial phone call. Hey, John will call you back when he has time to tell you when he can come out to visit you, to come out and do that inspection. How does that sound to you guys? Does that sound good or bad? But we do it all the time, right? We do it all the time because we're only looking at our calendar, right? We're only looking at like, well, you know, our office person doesn't know when John is available, right? Or man, I don't know when I'm going to be able to get out there. So let me just push off that time I'm going to go out there. You know, it's not, it's not we're not in as much of an emergency service vertical as say plumbing, right? Or HVAC. Like we've had a stretch of days here in Minnesota in the mid high 90s, where it feels like with the humidity and things like 113 I saw yesterday. If my furnace goes out, or I'm sorry, my air conditioner goes out, I go to Google, I start searching, I'm looking for HVAC companies to come out. I start making calls. The first one that answers the phone is essentially the winner, right? Because I've already done my preliminary research. I looked at their reviews, I was checking them out, right? So now when I make that call, if they say, hey, I'll have John call you back and by tomorrow to tell you when he could come out. Like, man, I need AC now. So what I do is I call the next company until I get an appointment booked. Once people have that appointment booked, most people will stop calling. You will have the people that are like, hey, I'm getting 3 bids no matter what, no chance, anytime, we're getting these bids. I want to see the comparison. That is a segment of your customers, right? But the majority of people, it's 50% of the people go with the first company they talk to. So you'll increase your close rates by always being the first person, right? So being the first person that answers the phone, the first person that sets appointment, the first person that does the inspection and gets them an estimate, right? Or starts working with, helping them filing the claim. Like by being the first, it will be much better. 90% of web forms fail to convert. And that's because people fill out a form on your website. A lot of times they'll do it in all hours of the night, right? And you don't get back to them. We had a company that we worked with down in the DFW, and she said their process was within 48 hours we will respond to the web forms that come in. Like they're gone, man. Like they're long gone. And so the statistics show that leads that are not followed up with in under 5 minutes go cold. What I mean by that is leads that are not followed up with, to be more specific, I should say, leads that are not followed up with in under 5 minutes, you have an 80% less chance of ever getting a hold of that person. So now if you're longer than 5 minutes, you just cut out 80% of your leads. You're going to get a hold of 2 out of 10 if you wait longer than 5 minutes. And it speaks to that, right? Like the system, the process that Able Roof, Mr. Roof had in place when Chuck Toki was working there, they would get a hold of people right away and keep them on the phone for a certain amount of time, right? And their conversion rates were much higher. The average customer must be followed up with 5 to 7 times before booking. So that person that fills out that form, a lot of times you need to hammer them, right? Maybe they don't answer on that first call. You call them right away. The form comes in, you call them right away. They don't answer. You have to continue to follow up and follow up and follow up. It's also post-inspection, right? A lot of times sales reps miss out on huge opportunities in their follow-up because they're not following up enough, right? They're not following up consistently or enough. I had a guy on my podcast that his team has a 24-point follow-up system, a 24 touch follow-up system for their for prospects, right? When you get that qualified lead, they're doing everything they can to be in front of that person over and over and over and over again. Now you can do it in different ways where you're not just like, I think it was Naomi. I think it was Naomi that said, you don't want to be too aggressive, but you can provide value to them also. It doesn't mean you have to call them and say, are you ready to buy today? It could be, hey, I just found out about this. There's a new product offering. We have a new special that we're running. Hey, I know that you were thinking of, when we sat down, you were thinking about going between this shingle color and this shingle color. I also think that maybe this one will be, would look good for you. It's a reason for you to reach out, right? So making yourself have reasons to reach out in that. And the today's customer is, they like to interact also via text message, right? Not just phone, not just email. You got to incorporate text messages in that. So the solution is to leverage marketing automation, right? There are a lot of systems and programs out there, that software solutions out there. In JobNimbus, we have Engage, which is a text platform. Also, we have Contractor Boost, which is our lead management platform, which I'll show you guys in a little bit to show you how we structure some of these things. But leverage marketing automation to follow up with web forms within the first 2 minutes of submission. Trying to get them on the phone, text messaging them, emailing them. Automate the follow-up so that every prospect is touched multiple times and they're able to engage with two-way text messaging. That's a big thing. And then I know this seems crazy, right? I know this is a big jump, but I want to do it for illustrative purposes. If you got 100 leads into your business at a conversion rate of 30%, it's average job of 10 grand, which is low, but 300 grand, 300,000 worth of business, gross revenue coming into the business. If you can increase that conversion rate to 70%, that's 700,000 in gross revenue versus 300,000. Even if you increased it by 5%, what would an extra 50,000 in gross revenue mean to your business, right? Out of every 100 leads, or, however you want to think about it, it is extremely, extremely impactful to get that conversion rate up, to make every lead more valuable. There is another old adage that I like. It's that the company that can pay the most for a customer will win. The way they do that is squeezing the juice. They're making every lead convert. So they're willing to pay more per lead because they know that they can have a higher conversion rate. So in all of these things, drop in the chat here or feel free to unmute. What are some of the takeaways that you've had so far in this conversation? Set appointment on the first call. That's a big one. It changes the game. Now there are ways that you can do that, right, Adam? Like if you have multiple sales reps that you have to run, you could create Google calendars and things like that with their availability. You can have all of the leads come into a general calendar for your company, and then have someone on your team, whether it's a sales manager or office manager or yourself, if you have, if they're, assign the leads to people with their availability. Adam says it's Job Nimbus is challenging on the scheduling side. Good thing that you're a client of ours, because you also have the scheduling ability over in Contractor Boost, because I'll show you that. We'll get that worked out for you too and help you with that. Naomi said have Job Nimbus and it's really lacking on the reporting side. Boy, have you gotten to see Job Nimbus Insights yet, Naomi? They just rolled it out recently. And it's it's something that's it's something that's really getting to being, it's a big there is a lot of effort going into the Job Nimbus Insights from the development team right now. And I'll show you what I can potentially, I don't know if I can show you guys on the screen because I can't show any of our clients back ends on the screen, but maybe I can get a screenshot. Give me a sec. I'll try and get a screenshot of what that looks like and pull it up on the screen for you guys today. But yeah, making sure someone is always answering the phone. Boy, that, like, the phone needs to be answered. We see this a lot of times. Our account managers will get feedback from a client saying, man, we're just, it's just not working as well as we wanted it to work. And the first thing that we do is we go to the calls and start listening. And if the phone calls are not being answered, I mean, that's the first thing. You're leaving money on the table, right? There's money being left there. Let's see here. Talking with them as they're working on it, making sure that someone is always answering the phone, have a virtual call center. Yeah, $100 a month to get the phone answered, right? Like, you could do this. There's a lot of different ways. If you could get, like, there's levels to the phone answering services too. Like, one, I think like, better than nothing is to have the phone answered, right? So that, they answer the phone and they take a message and they pass that on to you. That's one good thing. A level up from that is finding an answering service that will also book the leads on your calendar. They'll use your calendar and schedule people in. That's, to me, that's the what you want to look for, and that may cost you a little bit more, but having them do that is really impactful. So awesome. All right. That's money. Yeah. All right. So the first thing, we want to engage with our customers how they like to be engaged with. And today, I hate it personally, but people love text messages. Like, to me, there's just no, like, I like to get on a phone. Like, give me a phone. Like, let's have a 2-minute phone call. We get so much better than 15 minutes of texting back and forth. But people love they're like, we're in busy days. Their phone is always on their hip. That's kind of the way it goes. So people love text messaging. So we want to engage with them, or at least offer them different ways to engage. So one of the things is that, you want to have on your website, you want to have a phone call, a phone number that they can call. You want to have a web form that they can fill out. You want to have a chat feature, right? And so there's multiple ways. You're giving them the opportunity to engage with you the way they want to engage. And statistics now have shown that, and of course, right, 98% of all text messages are read. They're opened or opened. 95% are opened and responded to within 3 minutes. It's different than email, right? I don't know how you are. I don't know if you're one of these people, and I won't. I'll try to not be too hard on you, but if you have an inbox that has like tens of thousands of emails unopened, just seeing that makes me twitch. Like, I am an inbox zero person, and I need to get through those. But with text messages, it's like everyone opens them, right? Versus emails. So we love to send emails, but we also like to send text messages because they get such a good response rate. So and because US consumers now are 5 times more likely to send and receive text messages than phone calls. But I will tell you that it's nearly 80% of all lead flow that comes into all of our clients' businesses, thousands of phone calls a year, maybe, 80% of those, 80% of the inbound lead flow is through phone calls. So people do still call. The other thing, like we talked about, we got to quickly follow up, right? Like we talked about, leads that are not followed up with in 5 minutes go cold. Follow up within 5 minutes is 21 more times more effective than calling after 30 minutes. 21 times. Like, squeeze the juice, call quickly. After 5 minutes, the odds drop, like I said, by 80%. 50% of leads go with the vendor that responds first. Know this. Increase your conversion rates by being the first to these customers. Leverage automation, right? What we talked about. Every lead gets an email, an SMS within 30 seconds of submission, right? A call from someone on your company in under 5 minutes. Every lead is followed up with at least 7 times, emails, text messages, phone calls, until they book or tell you they're not interested. Leave it up to them. Call them until they say they're not interested. I have a friend, David, I don't know about you, man, 140,000 unopened emails. My goodness, man, that's too much. Adam said we use Signpost for our virtual receptionist. Yep, I've heard decent things about Signpost. Yeah. I think they'll do the booking for you that way too. So every lead followed up with 5 minutes until they're booked. I have a buddy of mine who owns a CRM in the real estate investing space, and he's a real estate guru, you'd call him. Like, he's a coach, coach to the industry and stuff. And this guy sends the most email. Naomi, you have 198 unopened texts. No one is going to sell you anything, are they? Like, your friends can't even get a hold of you. Your grandmother's trying to has been trying to text you for months now. You can't even, I'm just kidding. But so my friend Rob, he sends an enormous amount of emails. Sometimes I'll get 4 emails a day from this guy about things that are going on. And I had lunch with him years ago, and I was like, Rob, this is crazy. This is outrageous. Why do you send so many? You have to be annoying the heck out of people. And he said, I continue to send until people unsubscribe. So his metric is, how many emails can I send before too many people unsubscribe? So he goes at it from that angle, instead of how few can I send without annoying people. He really finds out the actual number of emails he can send to annoy people, right? Because that's when too many people, his unsubscribe rate goes up too much. And so we have to have that feeling. We have to know that the services that we provide are of value to our customers, and that we are reaching out to these people to do them a good service. It is a disservice to these homeowners, to these building owners, if they use another roofing company in your area in some cases, right? Not that there aren't other good roofing companies in your area, but there are a lot of bad ones too. So by not being the first to call, by not following up with them multiple times, you are doing them a disservice. You are letting them go with Chuck in the truck, right? You're letting them go with another provider with another contractor who's going to provide a lack of a much less valuable service. They may have building defects in their process. They may have no customer support. They may not be out of business in a year. You have to have that in you, that we have to be that company. So here's kind of an idea of how this flows, right? So Maybe you're doing some Google AdWords or Facebook ads. That all gets sent to a landing page where people have the opportunity to call you, chat with you, text you, fill out a form. In that form, then they go to a thank you page. That's kind of the standard process, right? You get a notification, hey, you have a new lead. But when you use marketing automations for the clients that we have, this is what I'm talking about is Contractor Boost. This is what you want. Now, when the form submission happens, instead of an email gets delivered, now all of this stuff starts happening. So now it checks, like the automation checks, is it within their business hours or not? If it's outside of their business hours, send them a text message saying, hey, saw you filled out a form on our website. Our business hours are 8 to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. What time in that is a good time to call you, right? Right away, instantly, they're getting communication from you. It's automated, but they don't know that. So a text message gets sent, an email gets sent. If it's within your business hours, we have in Contractor Boost and other solutions, there is an automatic call that can be generated. So now a call goes out to your company. You answer the phone. It says you have a new Google Ads lead. Press 1 to connect. You press 1 on your phone and it does an outbound dial to the phone number that the person put in the form. I've heard it on phone calls. I've listened to phone calls where people go, like they're still on the website, like they're on the thank you page of the website, and they're like, wow, that was fast. How did you even do that? How did you dial that fast? Because it's being on top of it that quickly. And that makes an impression of your professionalism to that homeowner, which again will maximize conversion rates. Maybe they're at maybe they submitted a Facebook lead, they're at work surfing Facebook, they saw your ad, they did that. So now they're not going to answer that call. Well, then now what we do is we just move on and start texting them and emailing them, trying to get them to reach out, respond, or schedule. And we just continue that process to get that person booked. So if you followed up with all of your leads in that way, would you convert more of them? Go ahead and drop that in the chat. Throw 1 in the chat if you feel that, it's an easy question to answer, of course, but let's get some interaction. Thank you, Naomi. Maybe you should respond to some text messages as quickly as you responded in chat. No. How do you do that, Naomi? Like, how can you have those? Like, is it just a bunch of spam stuff? Like, is it a bunch of
a lot of it? I just need to, a lot of it is, and sometimes I'll read it as it comes through on like a preview, and then I'm like, oh, I read that, and I just
got it. Like you see that you got the gist
read it
of
on
it.
my watch, yeah.
That's right. You got the gist of it there. Yeah. I have a thing called Robo Killer on my, I think it's Robo Killer is an app that I use on my phone that like it filters out the spams so I don't see them and stuff like that. That's helpful. So, we could go through this, but again, the ROI gets increased by maximizing those conversion rates. So now we need to implement this in your businesses, right? So this has to be a process. So now when someone comes to your website, they have to have the ability to call you. Like I said, they have to have the ability to press a button and fill out a form, which is the schedule free inspections. They have to have the ability to chat with you. The chat feature that we use on all of our websites is a text-based chat feature. The reason that we do that is because a lot of times on website chat, if you don't respond very quickly, people have already left your website. So then they're gone. There's no response for them to have because they've already left your website. So we do a text-based chat feature. So when they chat, they fill in their mobile number, and it actually interacts with them to their cell phone for that chat feature, so that if they do leave your website, you can continue to communicate with them. So those are very important things to do. We use what are called long forms on all of our or surveys on all of our forms versus having all of the fields available to the homeowner. One of the things that this cuts down on are the bots. The bots have a very difficult time getting through these forms where they fill out one question at a time. And a lot of them are drop down selections. Bots have a hard time, so you don't get as much spam through your form submissions. But the other thing that it does is Zillow, if the big real estate website, is the one that kind of pioneered this, and they saw a big increase in conversion rates when you just asked people multiple questions along the way versus having them fill out a big form. And then when you get, there's always a landing page that they need to get to, right? So, hey, thank you, we received your request. What we add is please have your phone ready. We'll be calling you shortly, right? Because we know that we have that automated, the automation built in that generates that phone call. So we're letting them know. And so, you can see here, like, these are all, these ones with the black lines are form submissions that had that auto call, and they lead to people being on the phone with them. Like, you getting to those people very, very quickly is how I think we've gotten to that right now, right? And so, and then multiple ways of communicating with them, but being automated. Text messages, emails. If the customer replies, if they reply no, there are automations that can be built and customized to fill out those forms. So, and you want to do this with a lot of your lead flow, right? Your Google ads, your Facebook ads. You could do this with Home Advisor or any other lead providers. Google Local Services ads. There's not a lot of automations that you could do with those because they're in Google's system, but you can but in there it's an inbound phone call or message to your business. So having those appointment setters ready is very, very important. So leads that are not followed up within 5 minutes go cold. A follow-up within 5 minutes is 21 times more effective, right? We'll say it again. 50% of the leads go with the vendor that responded first. 98% of text messages are open. And if you're not texting Naomi, they get read. Sorry for picking on you. All right. This will help you convert more leads into your business. So, Naomi, there are 2 different Master Elite logos. Did I miss something in the chat here? Something?
No, I sent that as a private message. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Oh, that was okay. Yep. So let's talk about this. What are some things what are some tools that you're using? What can I show you? How else can I help you in getting this executed and implemented in your businesses? Where are you out of, Naomi?
I'm actually located in Atlanta, Georgia.
Oh, great. Nice.
So do you have any automations for like the after sales? So for example, we do repairs as well as replacements and also some maintenance. And it's about that continuously keeping top of mind for the
top of mind stuff, right? Like there are, like email newsletter kind of stuff is a good easy one, right? That you can automate, at least just to be top of mind. I like a combination of direct mail and email on an ongoing basis for that. Another thing that I encourage everyone to do is to get your customers to follow your social media. And then as you are organically posting on social media, even post sale, right? Even post sale, they're still following you. So they still you might still pop up in their feeds every now and then. Some other really good things that you can introduce are referral bonuses. And referral, gift cards or things like that for referrals. I know some companies down in Atlanta specifically that use a cash referral. And so they essentially turn their happy customers into their 1099 sales reps, right? Like how they're over time, right? And so those are good ideas for that long term, but all of those can be set up in the systems like we do, like we have with Contractor Boost and things like that.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, who's still on here? What do we got? Where's my? All right, there you are. Adam, what do you think, man?
I love it. I was going to tell you, anybody that's on here that is looking at roofer marketers and questioning, is it worth pulling the trigger on and the commitment? It is 100% worth it. I've been with 3 other companies before roofer marketers, and it is literally night and day difference. The customer service, everything else. So if there's anybody on here that thinks otherwise, or just trying to figure it out, because I know it's very difficult, spend the money, it's going to return to you. I believe it will.
How
And I'm telling you,
have you
customer
guys,
service is so great.
have you guys started using some of the functionality in Contractor Boost? I know we set up like kind of the base functionality that you need for all those workflows and stuff like that. Have you started working in there at all?
Yeah, I haven't. So I was really extremely busy. That's one of the reasons it took a little bit longer for me to get my website put all together.
Got it. Yeah.
Because there's only 200 questions that you have to answer.
It's a
Which
lot
is
of
awesome.
stuff, right?
Yeah, it's awesome. Don't get scared, everybody. The 200 questions actually is what makes the website that much more valuable, because it's done for you and not for somebody else, and makes it more important. But we've started using a little bit, but I'm actually, while we were talking a minute ago, I sent an email to Liv, and I asked her to set me up an appointment so we can talk a little bit more on that. Plus, we have a unique situation that you guys are working on. For some reason, our ads on Facebook are permanently restricted. We have zero idea why. We've never even advertised on Facebook, so we don't know what the world's going on. So we're trying to figure that out.
Facebook is a horrible thing. Like
I have that problem too, Adam, and it's something about not pressing a button on a certain date, and it cannot be resolved.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went and did all of the. I've got what is it? I did the affidavit and all that kind of stuff that they require. Still nothing. But anyway,
they're terrible. Yeah.
Yeah, the team at Roofer Marketers is trying to help me out. We'll see what happens. Yeah, I'm ready to dig into Contractor Boost to find out, because my biggest deal is, I like Job Nimbus. I've been with Job Nimbus for 2 years, and I like the product overall. There's just some of the scheduling aspects of the product are really aggravating, because
you can move that scheduling
who do I have
into
scheduled, those kind of things. The calendar really needs to be worked on. So Jim, since you are kind of up there at the top now, you can ring a couple of doorbells up there and say, hey, let's get our calendar better.
I am, for sure. Kevin, any questions? I know you have access to Contractor Boost too, to help with these automations, right?
Oh yeah, I'm good, thank you.
All right, cool. Yeah, if you're a client, reach out to your account manager, have conversations, see, get figured out on if there's anything more you want to do with things, and get all these automations in place. Make sure that your phones are being answered, make sure that you're setting appointments on that first call. It's so extremely important to be able to get to those people first. It creates an amazing experience for them, right? If you think about it from a customer's point of view, you have to provide that top-notch customer experience. They're not used to it from contractors. So just by having that, right? Like you're creating a gap between yourself and another company so easily. It's such an easy thing to do, to create that gap by doing the small things that if you were a homeowner, you would want to be treated this way, right? So awesome. For any of you that don't listen to the Roofing Success podcast, it's where I interview successful roofing contractors on you know, the lessons they've learned along the way, all the things that are working, not working in their business, have worked, didn't work, you know, what's good, what's not. And so we have, you know, well over 150 episodes now. I think we're 160 something episodes in now. You know, it will help you to get that, see into the window, look into the window of other successful roofing companies, and help to execute and implement more things in your business. If there's no other questions, I'll let you go for today. We're about on time. So thanks everyone for joining. We'll talk to you soon.